Erno was driving along the highway. The speedometer needle was squeezing out 120 km/h. An endless strip of autumn forest was rushing past. It was getting dark. Rain drenched the windshield of an old Ford. It was the only thing that could be found in the parking lot near Raven Prison. Raven Prison. She had been his home for 20 years. He is now 40, with a slightly graying, swarthy face and piercing brown eyes. They say it's well preserved. Erno was currently in an emotional state. He turned on the radio at full power and pressed the accelerator pedal with pleasure. He's finally free. He was detained in one of the brothels. At that time, he had already committed 2 murders. The victims were young girls who were not lucky enough to get into his car. All this was done with extreme brutality, and Erno dismembered the bodies of the victims and buried them in the forest by a fireman. No matter how carefully he tried to cover his tracks, he was figured out and shut down for a long 20 years. The light on the dashboard blinked, indicating that it was time to refuel the car. The former prisoner had no money, but he knew what he was doing. After driving up to the gas station and filling the tank, Erno went to pay. A guy was standing behind the cash register, chewing gum. "That'll be 40 crowns, the boy said, slurping. Erno sauntered over to the counter. The clerk looked at him and leaned slightly over the counter. That was enough. One precise blow from below and a sharpened piece of reinforcement entered under the lower jaw. It pierced the entire skull and entered the brain. The slurping stopped. The owner of the Ford walked slowly to his car. The door slammed and the car sped on, cutting through the raindrops falling from the dark skies. The rain increased, and he slowed down. "I don't want to get into an accident because of the weather," Erno thought. As he drove, he thought it didn't matter what happened next. After spending 20 years in Ravenna, there is no turning back. In the headlights, he notices the silhouette of a man trying to catch a passing car. Erno stops and rolls down the window. "Are you far away?" "What is it?" he asks. "No, about 5 kilometers, a pleasant female voice answers. "Oh my God, this can't be happening. Such coincidences don't happen," Erno thought to himself. My stomach tightened, and my head was filled with memories of those 2 girls. It's a gift from fate, no other way, a thought flashed through my head. "I'll give you a ride, get in," and I helped her open the door. She got into the car, pulled the hood off her head, and Erno saw a dark-haired beauty with big green eyes. "My name is Wilma," the passenger said, looking closely at the killer. Her gaze became questioning. Oh, excuse me, I'm Erno. I admired you a little. You're very beautiful, I'm sorry," Erno replied a little embarrassed. "I know," she said with a playful smile. Erno stepped on the gas pedal and the car started moving, tires rustling and throwing out small stones lying on the side of the road. Wilma shifted a little and sat back, making the skirts of her wet raincoat fall down, exposing her graceful legs. The ex-convict took a quick glance and a predatory grin played on his face. After 7 minutes of silence, Wilma said, "Turn right here, and my house will be 2 kilometers away." They were driving along a narrow, bumpy road, if you could even call it a road. A rutted track in the middle of the forest. "Have you been on the road for a long time?" Wilma asked. "Maybe 2 hours," Erno replied, rubbing his eyes. "Can I buy you a cup of tea as a thank you for the service?" Wilma said with an inviting look in her green eyes. "I'll be very glad," Erno replied with a slight smile. They drove up to the house. It was still raining. In the distance, a full moon shone between the clouds. The house in which Wilma lived was located on a hill. It was built in the English style of red brick and resembled a small castle. Beyond it, in the distance, were more houses, some of them with lights on. "What is the name of your village? Otherwise I didn't see a sign on the road," Erno asked, slamming the car door. "This is the village of Harvan. There are practically no residents left here," Vilma said. They entered the house. "Do you live alone?" Erno asked, even though he already guessed that no one would bother him here today. He was already anticipating what he would do to her, and tonight would be a gift to him for those many years of waiting. My heart started pounding at these thoughts, and I started getting an erection in my pants. "Yes, I'm alone. My parents died when I was still a teenager," Wilma said. "Go to the hall, I'll make us tea now," she said. Erno went into the room. It was quite large. There was a bookcase closer to the window. There were 3 armchairs and a table in the center of the room. There was a thick carpet on the floor. It was somehow positioned incorrectly, relative to the entire interior of the room. It was as if someone had deliberately moved it away from the window, exposing the old, creaking wooden floor. Erno went to the bookcase and decided to look at the collection of books. It became interesting to him, because a home library can say a lot about its owner: psychoanalysis, psychology, criminal psychopathology, anatomy, a strange selection for a young girl. He didn't hear her enter the room, but turned around when Wilma was setting the cups on the table. "Erno, look at how beautiful the moon is today," she said. Erno turned to the big window and looked up. There was a huge moon in the sky. "Yes, she's beautiful today," Erno said a little dreamily. He lowered his head and saw that this beautiful moon was shining with its cold light. About a dozen grave crosses were sticking out of the ground near the house. "What the?" is the last thing the maniac saw and uttered. The heavy double-sided axe entered his skull with a crack, cutting it all the way to his neck. Erno's body fell to the wooden floor, along with the murder weapon stuck in his head. Wilma had a hard time getting the axe out of that bastard's head. I had to press my head to the floor with my foot to get it out. The slippers were now stained with blood, and the carpet needed to stay clean, so Wilma carefully took off her shoes. She leaned the axe against the wall and sat down in an armchair. She was drinking tea, gazing at the moon with a detached gaze. She was 12 years old. One day, on a beautiful sunny summer day, Wilma went to the clearing by the highway to pick flowers and pick strawberries. They were passing by, but stopped out of need. There were 3 of them, and they took turns doing this to her. After everything that happened, Wilma's psyche could not cope with such a trauma on its own, and she was placed in a psychiatric hospital. She stayed there for 6 years. During this time, her parents died and she was left alone. She was released. She returned back to the village, to her native home, and in the evening she began to stop passing cars. A heavy double-sided axe awaited the lone drivers who coveted her.